Throwback Thursday this week aims to make us a much better PvP player, and trust me, it's needed, because the texture pack that we're reviewing for Throwback Thursday today is the Better PvP texture pack by Sapphire Studios. Coming in at 490 mine tokens, this texture pack takes up 3 megabytes of size. But will the Better PvP texture pack make us a professional PvP player? Or are we forever gonna be a big, old phony? It's rather disappointing, but the Better PvP texture pack doesn't come with any GUI changes at all, which is very unlike PvP texture packs. If you've ever used a PvP texture pack, one of the biggest selling points of them is making the game a lot more visible and easier to see. So when you're in menus, you usually get a form of transparency, you get some kind of color coding gimmick, and that doesn't seem to be in occurrence here. I don't even know if that's the right way of saying that. But it doesn't seem to be applied here. It's the same standard Minecraft menus, title screens, setting screens. When you go into the workbenches and tables, there are very small, subtle differences in some of them. Like one of them in particular has a pixelized arrow, but in most cases, it's exactly what you would expect from the vanilla experience, which definitely confuses me with this being the Better PvP pack. So I'm interested to see how much other changes have occurred in this texture pack. Before we jump into the passive mob section, let me remind you that you can find the final review score for today's texture pack over in my texture pack review database at dazmanblogs.blogspot.com. You can compare texture pack scores and see how I've rated everything. You can also find the waiting list for future Throwback Thursday content on my website at dazmanblogs.blogspot.com. Link in the description below. If you'd like to suggest content for today's series, then leave a comment with the name of the texture pack you would like me to review, but remember, it must be in the Minecraft marketplace. So I'm in a brand new world then with the Better PvP texture pack, and there are some really good things, and there's one glaring thing that kind of stands out to me, and it's right behind me, but we're going to get to that in a moment. Let me give you a little bit of a backstory on this texture pack. So it was last updated on Thursday, the 29th of August, 2024. What that means is we can pretty much expect any mob that had variation added to it this year, a la the cows, the pigs, the chickens, for instance. They're all going to be default. They're not going to be their standard textures. Or they're going to be their standard textures. They're not going to be their custom textures. And it's a primarily X16 resolution texture pack, which, if I've done my research correctly, matches what the standard Minecraft textures are. Which means that a lot of the assets that are used in the standard Minecraft textures will transfer over quite well. So with those broken passive mobs, for instance, there shouldn't be too much of a glaring immersion break, which is good. Obviously, we want our texture packs to be updated as much as possible, but knowing that, they should kind of flow in well together, which is very good. And also, after doing my research, I've kind of come to terms with that pixelized texture that we get. Now, nothing's going to be as polished as Minecraft. They've been in the game for ages, but what I've found out is an X16 texture pack is very good for PvP because it's not very resource intensive. What that means is you shouldn't get lag, you shouldn't get performance issues and stuff because it's not too difficult for the game to process, which makes sense to me in a PvP pack at least. So hopefully I won't be complaining too much about pixelization. We're going to get to what I really like, and we're looking at some of it over here. But before we do that, that's what the sun looks like up there. And if we get down to the water, it's a solid blue water. And the animation for the water is quite a subtle, slow animation. Quite nice. Not too bad at all. I think this is very, very strong. We've got some wavy sand over here. And we've got a very good grass block design here. Now, this is a grass block design that we get not only here in like the spruce area, I believe, but also over here in kind of a plains or even a birch forest-esque. Like, you know, it seems to be the standard dirt or grass block at least. And I need to make that differentiation or I need to make that difference known. This is a grass block. Can't pick my words, but I need to say it correctly. This is a grass block, not a dirt block, because a standard dirt block is still your standard brown, which I don't like. I like this grass block. I really like what they've done with the dirt on the side of the grass block. I like that kind of darker shade. I don't like this transition, unfortunately, because it doesn't really make sense to me with my basic mind. And I really wish either there was a transition into it, which made it like slowly move away from this color into the brown, or they made this dirt more that color. Now, I know they can't do that specifically for one very important reason, which is kind of over here, which is like, although actually this is kind of more of a podzol, isn't it? Yeah, this is a podzol. And in fact, that podzol keeps the standard dirt. So there's an inconsistency, I think is probably the best way to put it. Let me grab that again. If we come over here, for instance, and we just look there. So you see the podzol has that brown dirt, which flows into it for the world generation to look quite nice. Whereas the grass block doesn't have it, and it feels quite jarring. And if we go back up here, for instance, when you're looking off into the distance over there, it doesn't actually feel too bad. It's a nice collection of colors. You've got that darker gray into the brown, into the green. I think that's quite nice from afar. But the problem is when you go up close to it, it becomes too harsh, in my opinion. And of course, remember, everything you hear in my videos is my opinion. You're welcome to have your own opinion, and I look forward to hearing it or reading it in the description. Description? Comments. Cannot speak today. But like over here, for instance, when we're looking at the stone into the dirt into the grass, even underneath here, it's just weird. That seems to be their implied transition. And I don't like it. It's too harsh. Maybe, you know what would have been nice? Have some elements of this color brown on the bottom of here. Almost like it moves up. And then you could put in, like, I don't know, a bit of a lore or a story into how the surface level dirt has dried up. I don't know. You can make it work. Is it that deep? Probably not. It's a PvP texture pack. But I just thought I'd put that out there. I really like the color. I don't like the transition. And I hope that makes sense. Looking around a bit more at the world generation, we've got some gravel here. It's a very staticky design, which I'm used to for gravel. We've got the sand, which is very strongly pixelized. I don't particularly like the motion blur when it looks like this. I think it's a lot harsher than we're getting on the grass. The grass looks a lot nicer. You've still got some digitalization to it, but it doesn't feel that bad. And then, like I said, on the side here, it looks nice. I think it's a good effect. But the sand definitely feels quite weak and is one of the weaker textures that we've seen so far. If we come over here, like I said, the cow is defaulted to its standard texture, but as you can see, it blends in quite well. It's got that pixelization that you get in the X16 textures and doesn't really break immersion, which is good. Same over here for the pig. We get down here. It's the exact same situation. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a standard pig. And just breaking away from the mobs, this right here is a perfect example of a pack being vanilla, but making something its own. Now, I've often said before, oh, hi pig, how you doing? I've often said before that I have nothing wrong with a vanilla texture pack as long as they add some creativity or ownership to a block. And a birch tree, for instance, has been one that I've used before as an example. And I've been told before that, well, birch looks like birch. You can't change how birch looks because it becomes an issue. But this is exactly it. It's a standard birch design. It's what you would expect from a standard birch design. But they've added in this like air of color, this yellow, this peach, this orange, and it just gets that nice little bit of shading to it. I like it. I think it's quite nice. I did not expect to feel so positive about this, even with that one issue for me there. Let's just quickly get a chicken out here as well, just to prove that that has also defaulted back. And then we'll grab a couple sheep. So this is how a sheep, and I guess how passive mobs were supposed to look in this texture pack. The first thing that's jumping out at me here is the eye color of the sheep matches the wool. So you can see this sheep's got a white eye. This sheep has got black eyes. This sheep, I'm guessing, has like elements of gray to it. I don't even know. Hang on a second. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh no, I'm lying. I'm completely lying. You just caught me in a lie there, I'm afraid. The eyes are black. It's the dot underneath I got confused with. Fair dues. Okay, well, This is how they were supposed to look. And if I put a pig next to it, you can see that pixelization is still there. It's harsher on the custom textures because it's not as polished as a standard Minecraft texture pack, but it's still not exactly breaking immersion. We're not talking kingdoms into vanilla here. Do you know what I mean? And if we was to shave the sheep, we get the element of wool staying on the body. And if we shave a different colored sheep, we can see the color stays consistent. Carrying on, we've got horses on here looking very pixelized to add in that shading. And it just kind of draws home the attention of the lack of polish. But I'm trying to bring myself to not mark that down as much. It is harsh to look at, but it's not impossible to look at. And it's just markings of a horse. I feel like if it was worse on the side of a block face, it would be a lot more dramatic and a lot more important. In terms of skeletons, ooh, I like the blue. I haven't seen that before. Or at least not in a really long time. I like the blue. I'm going to be keeping an eye out on if that's going to be consistent with skeletons and bone blocks. But I like that. And then the zombie horse here as well. Again, little elements of blue there. We've got some 3D-ness with broken bits. Well, not broken bits, but like missing bits there where chunks have been taken out. Okay. A few harsher textures, but not bad. I don't think it's bad. I'm very pleasantly surprised by this. I didn't think I would be. Let's just quickly go into spectator mode. We're going to go underground. We're going to try and have a look at a few of the caves. And I probably should have given myself a night vision potion for this. But I wanted to also try and see some lush caves as well. So let's go over here. It's a bit lit up. We can see how cave generation kind of looks down here with the darkness of the world. It is quite dark under here with that grey. Let me try and get a night vision potion. Give me a second. And there we go. So we've lit it up a bit now so we can fly through again and just have a look around a bit more. Getting a few spoilers to some sections coming up. But yeah, I mean, the cave generation down here. Some good greys. Some good colors indeed. Unfortunately, no lush cave around. We need to find one of those. But yeah, this is how it would look inside of an actual cave. Let me go and find a lush cave. And so yeah, here we go. We can see how the lush cave renders in as well. We've got the moss blocks down here. We've got the hanging decorations and greenery on here too. And then obviously we've got the big pink flower there as well. But I have to say, I'm quite impressed with what I'm seeing so far. It being a PvP pack, obviously we've got the issues with the menus. But in terms of an actual texture, I don't think it's too bad at all. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Let's go and find ourselves a village and give me back a body. And we're approaching a village now then. And the first thing that jumps out to me here, bright colors and orange. So obviously we've got the oak stairs on here feeling very bright. But the pathway as well is a very solid orange color. And I have to say, there's not a ton here jumping out at me as specifically PvP, which is probably intentional because we've not really looked at anything PvP yet other than the menus. But you can immediately pretty much tell what each block is, which is very good in a PvP pack. You don't want to be wondering what things are. We can also have a look here. We've got the cobblestone on here. Feels like a softer cobblestone. It's not exactly the most prominent of line arts. You can see the wood. You can see the tree itself, the bark, the log, whatever you want to call it. Got some doors on here as well. And if we come around here, we can see some mossy cobblestone. We can see what the crops are looking like on here as well. And it just feels, what's the word? Maybe like a level or two harsher than the standard Minecraft textures. Got a rather nice iron golem here. I mean, it's not exactly reinventing the wheel, but I like that element of blue, kind of an icy blue. I like that you can see the detailing on here as well. Yeah, I think it's quite nice. Not bad. Not the best. Definitely not the worst. And if we come around here, there's a little baby villager running around. I don't want to look at that guy. I want to look at a normal one. These guys feel very... Well, I don't know what the word is. Like, color's been taken out of them here. Let's get over here. And let's see what we're dealing with. So we'll get a few of these guys. Alright, so I'm not immediate... Well, no diversity in here from what we've seen spawned in. But then they're just kind of... They kind of feel like they're dead. You know, like whenever you see dead people in movies or whatnot. They're given that kind of offish grayish color. That seems to be what these guys are given. There's no real changes to the models. There's a few changes to outfits. It's a decision to have them. They kind of feel a bit plummy. I know, it's weird, isn't it? It's a bit weird. They've added their own creativity to the vanilla aspect of it, I guess is the best way to put it. Not a fan of there being no diversity. I have to say it's not my go-to choice for villagers either, but it's inoffensive. It's nothing too crazy there. Let's set it to nighttime and let's see what hostile mobs look like. And so with the moon rising up, then it's a very small moon. It kind of fits the same theme as the sun. I see what they've gone for with the rounded corners. Not too bad at all. Looking at the world, it feels darker. Obviously, we're right next to a lit up village, so that's kind of changing how that feels. But it feels darker with a few darker greens and whatnot as well. Let's drink the night vision potion. And remember as well, this is your arachnophobia warning. There will be Minecraft spiders around. Just keep an eye out for those. Let's get down the bottom here and see what we're dealing with. Immediately, I'm going to go straight for this creeper. This creeper with the hints of the yellow. It's a very noisy texture. Not my go-to at all. Kind of looks like paint thrown at a paintboard there. Other than that, quite basic. And I'm saying quite basic because I saw the zombie. And the zombie over here has his own little facial designs. It's a harsh face. I think, let's be honest, I'm trying to be more positive about these. I don't want to be called to have a pixelization or a pixel art bias at all, but it's very harsh in terms of how it's looking. That can have its benefits and its negatives. I like the elements though in the mouth with the teeth. I think that's cool. It's very basic in terms of outfits as well on there. Let's get the spider out the way, so that the arachnophobics don't need to be on edge for too long. Okay, there's some like brushstroke design elements to the body, I guess. But other than that, not really much at all. I should probably check for variation, even though I don't think there is. Not really any there. We'll do a few more checks on a zombie. I don't want to just spam in loads and loads of spiders. Yeah, no variation. So I don't believe it claims to have variations either. In the description, it does claim to have smooth textures or subtle words to that effect, which I don't particularly agree with. And also, there's no consistency on the bone textures because the skeleton doesn't have the cool blueness that the skeleton horse had, which is a shame. I would have liked that to have carried on. I don't believe there are any more hostile mobs for us to look at. It's fine. I mean, there is, like I said, a few elements of harshness that you don't get in the vanilla textures of Minecraft, and I don't really know how you combat that. But also, let's not forget 490 mine tokens, so the price is not breaking the bank, which means we can be a little bit more lenient as well. So I'm still feeling quite positive about this. Let me know what you're thinking. Let's head out to the ocean, let's find an ocean monument, and let's see what's happening underwater. And here we are above an ocean monument. It's still nighttime. We still have the night vision potion on, and we're going to dive straight down. I'm immediately seeing those brighter blues, which look really nice. Let's get into here and have a look. You know what? It's a subtle Y design. Almost comes across like a trident design. I like it. Again, I like it. It's got that X16 texture to it. I feel like I have to keep saying that because I don't want people to be like, oh, but you don't like X16, so well, how can you like it? Well, I do. I like it. I like how this kind of looks. There's a lot going on in such a short space or a small space. I'm not the biggest fan of Prismarine, but I feel like I've kind of gone off Prismarine as a whole. I like the color change that we've got on here, but it just kind of feels like a secondary cobblestone, and I get a bit bored of it. Hello. We'll come to you in a second, mate. Let's get up here. Dark Prismarine. I feel like they've added a bit of extra detail in with the colors than you normally get, and obviously has that kind of redder tint to it. Fine. But I really like this. I really like the colder colors that we're getting in this pack. The blue of the skeleton horse, the white on here. I think they look really nice. I like the lantern as well. Don't know what it is. Maybe I've had like a change, but I think, yeah, I like this. It feels quite nice. Yeah, I like that, man. Okay, let's come on to here. I mean, I don't know how long this is going to last for. Maybe I've completely changed my mind on a lot of things, but I think I like it. There's got the obvious like changes to it that I don't like, but overall, I think it works, which is always a plus. We've got the Elder Guardian here. This one feels... the eye doesn't feel too good to me. I don't mind the rest of it too much. I see what they've gone for. But the eye itself just feels noisy and busy. And I'm trying to get him to look at me here. There we go. It just feels quite noisy and busy. Not the easiest thing to look at. And then the rest of him kind of takes away from that. If we get down here to the smaller ones, it's that same thing going on here. It's weird as well because that pink of the iris kind of off-center at all times. So it never looks like it's looking straight at you, which the rest of the eye kind of implies that it is. It's a very jittery guy here. I don't know if that's because of straining to look at it a little bit, but he feels very jittery. And if we get round to a drowned down here, here we go. He's got a trident on as well. Hello, mate. Whoa. Oh, I like that. I actually like that. I was a bit shocked to see that, but I actually like that. Excuse me, can I get... no, not a kelp. Can I get you to a more open area? Let's just have a look. I like his face is gone. It's like the water's attacked his skin and the face has disappeared. The same as like most of his body. I really like the 3D elements on this, in fact. Again, kind of basic, but very, very nice in that effect. This has been a really good example of making a vanilla pack their own. And I applaud that. I really do. Let's go underground and let's see a trial chamber now. Now that we're in the trial chamber, we're really hit home by how outdated this pack is. So the first thing that jumps out straight away, the Tough family, not updated. The Copper family, not updated. Obviously, the main copper block and the oxidized copper block are updated, but the bulbs, not so much. The Tough, definitely not. The green of the copper, very noisy. It's got a lot of digitalization, a lot of pixelization, almost harshly, in fact. I do like the blue, I do like the green, but it is very difficult for me to look at for a long period of time. It's also not consistent with the copper block in terms of design. I'm not necessarily against that. Like, it's not always the nicest thing, but I'm not necessarily against it. I like the standard copper design with the little bolts in the corners. I think that's quite cool. But if we're looking at things in like a lore kind of way and like how the world works together, how do you get from this copper block to an oxidized copper block like so, when they're so very different on the tops and the sides? Maybe because it's oxidized, it's also been rubbed across, so you can see elements of the ball, like the little bolts on here as well, but it's not really working that great. If we get a breeze out as well, I did forget to grab that, but we'll grab one here. You can see it's also vanilla because it's not updated. So that's a shame, but we knew that coming into it. Let's go to the armory now and let's see everything. We're in the armory now for the better PvP texture pack, and I think we're going to see a lot of weird textures, a lot of blur, a lot of pixelization as we go through here. There is a few things though that I want to draw attention to as we fly around. So in the thumbnail of the texture pack, you can quite clearly see that there seems to be an updated GUI, and it's not here. Like, it's like a multicolored GUI, which we don't have here, unfortunately. So I'm wondering if something has updated with the GUI, causing it to break in the texture pack. And if that is the case, that's very much a disappointment. And then another thing as well, we'll jump to the side slightly and just come over here. It mentions low fire. That's not low fire. So for a PvP pack, I'm definitely struggling to see what it is we're going for here. And I feel like this may have died a death at this point. As we keep looking through here, so we're seeing a lot of that pixelization that I was talking about with some of the harsher blocks on here. You can also see it on the dragon's head. The egg, not so much, doesn't feel too bad. And then you've got a lot of the other stuff going through here. I really like the browns in the colors that they've gone for. I think they're quite warm. And while there are pixelization and while that X16 texture is really shining through, it's not, although I'm about to say it's not as bad, and then we're looking at like Netherrack here, which doesn't look great. The stone doesn't look great. The ores don't look great. There's a weird kind of transitional effect here as well for the Nether quartz. It's losing me, I think is the nicest way to put it. Oh, more of the copper blocks are actually updated than I thought they were. Okay, obviously the new copper blocks in the new updates not put together. It's not been updated for that. Not been updated since August 2024, like I said earlier in the video. We've also got here the glass. The glass is a good color, not bad at all. And then we've got the bundles, which won't be updated. We've got the colored stuff. So a white, this is white right here. White carpet is actually yellow, but the white bed doesn't keep that consistency in color. We've also come along here as well. So light gray, pretty much the same, not consistent in color across the different color sets. And that seems to be an issue in a few places here where the color is a bit of a problem and doesn't feel consistent across. We saw it earlier in the video in the skeleton blocks, and we've seen it here for a few different colors as well. Got the iron doors there with the non-updated copper doors. We'll pull back and look at the trees and stuff here as well. So we do have transparency in the trees. We've got the bright of the logs here as well. Very bright orange, which seems to carry on through for spruce as well. So oak and spruce, very, very bright. Birch has that brighter but almost softer yellow. It feels like sand as well. Coming on here, we've got the jungle. It's not as noisy as I thought it would be, though, which is definitely good. There is elements of noise. I'm not trying to be blind to that, but it's not as noisy as I thought. Acacia here as well with the orange, but the orange of the acacia loses effect because we've seen it already with the oak and the spruce feeling very bright and almost orangey as well. Dark oak on here as well with the darker brown. Okay, that works. I think that works. Haven't quite had that color yet. We've got the mangrove bringing purple into it. That's a harsh decision. Not a fan of that. I'm a fan of the creativity, but not necessarily the implementation. Like a face on the double doors there as well. Do you see that? That's kind of cool. I like that. We've then got the cherry blossom trees here as well. Okay, softer pink, not bad. Looking up at the leaves there as well. Elements of green, elements of pink. The pale oak won't be updated. The bamboo here as well. That feels a little bit harsh to look at. Very prominent though, good shading on that. Fair enough. More purple here this time for the crimson. It's a more deliberate, fuller purple block. Weird to go purple for what should be a predominantly red tree, but okay. Not sure how I feel about that. Although the purple stem there kind of works. It's like a purple stem into the red nether wart. Maybe that works, actually. And then you've got the warped here as well, keeping that consistent blue. Not bad at all. Down here, we go into the concrete powder and concrete. I think there's enough of a change between the two there to signify both. Good color sets on these, very bright colors. Not bad at all. We'll fly through. We've got the glazed terracotta on here as well. And standard terracotta too. Yeah, okay, good differences on them as well. They're very wacky. There's a bit of blur in there because it's not as polished as the standard textures for Minecraft, like I said before, but there you go. The blue isn't consistent with the skeleton horse. So it's consistent with the skeleton, but not the skeleton horse. That's a shame. And I prefer the skeleton horse to all of the different types. You've got the slime there as well. You've got the honey. Not a big fan of the slime block. The ice and snow, and then the coral blocks here as well. I think one thing though, it's very consistent in its design, which is very, very good. We just keep coming through here for the mud, the dirt, the moss. You see that as well, that again, so looking at, like I said, in the passive mob section, you've got that grayer dirt on the grass block, which I like, mixed in with just the standard dirt, which doesn't make sense, and then into the path, which works a bit better This is too harsh for me, though, of a transition. Tough, not updated, like I said. We then come into Deep Slate. Not bad, actually. Not bad at all. That's going to make the ancient city very interesting to look at. Endstone and purple. Endstone, not yellow either. Almost kind of egg white in style, or dirty white. The purple, a softer purple as well. Okay. Into the more Nether style blocks here. Nether bricks, red Nether bricks. Not really much to say about them, in all honesty. They're not bad. They're fine. They do the job. Resin, not updated. Quartz, looks all right. I like that. The pillar block, very nice. Just keep coming through here. So yeah, prismarine itself, I'm not the biggest fan of. But this softer color on the prismarine bricks, I like. And that's a unique dark prismarine. I like the elements of blue that have just been like tinted in there. I think that's quite nice. On to, is this andesite? Yeah, it is. Okay, so on to the andesite. Diorite is just a mess. It's an absolute mess. Granite's not too far off from being a mess either, but andesite I think is passable. The sand and red sand, very soft colors. It feels very warm as a pack, which is interesting. The bricks, I like the bricks. The bricks are nice. Blackstone, okay. Not much going on there, but it's all right, I guess. Stone and mossy stone. And the rest of them onto here as well. Cobblestone and mossy cobblestone. Mossy cobblestone does feel like a bit of a mess. The mushroom looks like it's decaying. And then we can see here as well for the flowers. And then we can see pretty much all of the mobs as we go. So you'll see here a lot of whatever's supposed to have variation would have defaulted back to the standard designs. We can see on here, like there's a witch here as well. Looking very pale and dead. That face is very, very weird. Like, what's going on? Can't quite tell. Is that 4 eyes or is that 2 eyes? I don't know what's going on there. Very weird. The creaking won't be updated. Pillagers have that kind of weird digitalization to them. There's the skeleton horse as well that I said was quite cool. The allays. I think it's very consistent, though, in what we're seeing. Oh, wow. Striders look a bit of a mess. Okay. Into here, we've got the armors. I like the little trims around the leather. That looks nice. Chainmail. Yeah, okay, I can go with that. Is that copy and paste on the armors? It's very close, but I don't think it is. Very subtle changes, but at least there's changes in a PvP pack. I like that. Got the turtle helmet there. The animal armors on here as well. Very consistent. And then we can see as well the armor trims. Weird that the netherite trim is actually purple. Okay, doesn't look like they've changed many, if any, of the designs on here, though. Fair dues. Let's get around here. You can see the hose. It's a bit hard to make out what we're looking at here. Very copy and paste. Obviously, the copper one standing out, so you can see they've changed the model from what the standard one would look like, thanks to that copper one. The shovel, you can also see as well, look, the length. So the weapons are a lot smaller. Let's see the shovel in our hand. It's barely there, which is a PvP staple. So there may not be low fire. There may not be transparent menus, but we do have low weapons. That's good. Let's grab a sword. So if we had this sword on here, the wooden sword is a low sword. How does that work with the copper sword? No, it just sticks right back to how it was before. Okay. I'm a fan of the low swords, though. That's cool. The axes as well. It looks copy and paste to me, which is always a shame. Low pickaxes on there as well. Oh, that's a nice little diamond color. Okay. Got the bow, the crossbow, the mace, the trident. Good color on the trident. You can also see as well the shelves would not be updated, but you can see what I believe is that a diamond. And I can't even take it out. Oh, it's gone. Oh, well. Oh, well, I can't take it out now. I think that's a diamond, but for some reason, will let me take that out. Fishing rod into the shield, the elytra. We can chuck on a carved pumpkin here as well. Excuse me. Okay, not bad. Not bad, easy visibility, no surprises, no shocks. That's cool. Up here, I'm not a fan of the end portal here at all. I think this is too noisy, too like crazy. They've also changed what the actual portal itself looks like. Very bright. And then we can see the Nether portal here. I like the crying obsidian with the blue. I think that's nice. And then the conduit as well. So yeah, that is the better PvP texture pack in the Armoury. A lot of blur, a lot of pixelization, but I think a lot of consistency. Let's head to the Nether now and let's see what's going on there. Hey, did you know this channel isn't all there is? I also have a second channel called Dazman Reacts, where I react to other Minecraft content, trailers, pack combinations, creator interviews, and even the Minecraft Marketplace weekly update. I also have the Dazman Plays channel, where I play other non-Minecraft games of all age ranges. I have a Dazman Football channel and a Dazman Wrestling channel for those games and topics as well, and I also have a very small TikTok account at Dazman TikTok. And finally, I have my website, the Dazman Blogs website at dazmanblogs.blogspot.com, where I'm building a texture pack database, an actions and stuff compatibility list, written texture pack summaries, a very loose podcast, and even more. So support me in various places by liking, commenting, subscribing, following, and visiting in as many places as possible. And so into the Nether we go. Again, we can see there's no title or splash card there, and we are in a crimson biome to start with. So let's let the world open up a bit. Just load in and see what we've got. So very nice purple, very nice red going on here. I still don't quite understand how they can claim to be smooth textures. It doesn't feel smooth. It does feel a bit harsh to take in everything that we're looking at here, but the colors are really, really good. I'm also not sure, other than the low weapons, how this can really claim to be a PvP pack, but I do think that has a lot to do with it being outdated and somewhat broken now in that regards. You can see here the hoglin, not really much going on there at all. Do we have a piglin around? I think I saw one. Here we go, yeah. We've got the piglin here. Okay, he's wearing a lot of shredded clothes. Oh, yeah, protecting the goods. I see you, bro. I see you, although your face looks very, very bland. Oh, they're going. Okay, let's get out of here. We're witnessing a crime. Let's carry on. If we go into the fire here. Yeah, that's not low fire, is it? Let's be completely honest. Netherrack. Okay, Netherrack doesn't feel as harsh here as it did in the Armoury. But it's not consistent in terms of the ores. Like, look, this is, what's this? This is Nether Gold. That's Nether Quartz. It's like it's using a completely different red, which just doesn't work at all. Let's fly through here and see what else we're doing. We've got a ghast. Whoops, excuse me. Okay. Very prominent face. Very upset looking face. Other than that, not really much of a change. Kind of looks like Voldemort. Kind of looks like Voldemort when he was on the back of Quirrell's head. Is that just me? I don't know. Let's see if we can get him to attack us. Survival. Hey, buddy! Where's Quirrell? Do that again, because I wasn't looking. I was trying to make a joke. Oh. Yeah, kind of looked like a Grim Reaper there with the face. Interesting. Got a magma cube here, but I think that's defaulted back to vanilla as well because of some changes that were made that haven't been captured in the update. The Strider's there as well. Right, let's go and try and find a fortress, I think. Oh, but actually, before we go and find a fortress, I just want to point out this stuff. So this is the Soul Sand Valley with Soul Soil and Soul Sand. We've got the bone here as well. I really like how dark this looks. This pack has really used color well, I think. If we go into this fire. No, it still burns orange. Okay. But yeah, that kind of dark. It almost feels like mud. Which I think has a really nice effect to it. I kind of like it. I like the blue in the background as well. I think that's quite strong. Right, let's get the fortress. And so we've come up on the fortress here. And in fact, you know what? If we step back a little bit, can we still see it? Because there's a nice little abundance of color in here. So you can see, all right, we're only getting subtle bits of it, but you've got that darker Soul Sand Valley into the red of the crimson, into the darker red of the Netherrack, into the purple of the fortress. There's some good color here, and it's complemented by the purple of the trees and the crimson there as well, the orange of the lava. I like this. I like it as a texture pack. I really can't talk about it as a PvP pack. I don't really see how this is at all a PvP pack. And that has to factor into the score, by the way. But I think as a texture pack, at 490 mine tokens, an entry-level texture pack maybe, I can see people liking this. Ah, here we go. There is a blaze. Did I say breeze? I don't know. I like the Venomize. The Venomize really give it some character. Okay. Good color as well. Oh, he's got like a third eye. Hard to make out that face. Looks like he's got like a third eye going on there. Other than that, though, feels very similar to a standard skeleton. And yeah, the face is very difficult to make out, unfortunately. Okay. I think the Blaze is my favorite mob so far in this whole pack. Just those Venomize felt quite nice. Let's get the Wither now and spawn this in. As you can see, Soul Sand even has that kind of ice-cold blue to it as well. Let's go for the Wither then. Oh yeah, look, he's got the same elements. The same 3 eyes on his head. Here we go. Oh, I preferred it in the loading. It's very hard to look at that face, isn't it? That is definitely a face only a mother could love. I'm sorry. Alright, let's head off to the Nether now. Not the Nether, the end. Let's go to the end now. And let's see what the Ender Dragon looks like. And into the end we go. Okay. Feels a bit harsh. Let's just look back at it a little bit. Hang on. Alright, there's definitely blur. It feels harsh to look at that end stone. I do prefer the colour here though, kind of devoid of the yellow. Feels like almost a barren wasteland, kind of dead, but the blur is undeniable there. The void is fine to look at, not a problem there. And the Enderman, quite basic. And if we head over here, we've got the Ender Dragon. It's got very square wings. Almost like they tried to transparency the wings and it's defaulted back again. I don't like that. Can you land? Thank you. It's very difficult to look at. She's almost made of obsidian. And then the wings just feel a bit weird. This feels a bit budget. A bit budgety, I'm afraid. On that. I think there's some good elements to like the trim, but other than that though, she feels very budgety and she's quite difficult for me to look at. Let's head off to... Hang on. Oh, that looks nice. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Alright, not bad. Let's head to the Ancient City now. Let's see what the Warden looks like. And then let's get the final review done. And so here we are in the Ancient City. Then let's get this lit up. And again, colour. Colour definitely hitting straight away. So it's a brighter, softer blue on the skulk, which feels very nice. And it's complemented very well by the grey here, the lighter grey of the deep slate. I'm used to seeing a lot darker blocks in this. And I think that works really well. And it works even better here when you start looking at like tough added in here too, which works well against it. It just feels like a softer, brighter pack in general, but yet still carries some darkness when it needs to. And I think that's a nice feeling. And my overall impression so far has been very positive. Maybe I set the bar too low in my expectations, but I feel very, very happy with how this looks. And it is a shame that it's not been updated. I really hope they come back to this, in fact. It's a very good price. But I digress. Let's get the Warden out here. And so I think the Warden's about to spawn. He came out of a 1-block hole. Okay. Okay. So immediately the first thing I'm getting here is this is kind of a retro-y design. Kind of like what you would see in those older games that from like back in the 90s even. I'm seeing those kind of elements of artistic style here. I like the color, the blue, the shoulders, the white. I think that looks quite nice. And it's got the same traditional Warden face as well. Again, I think this is really nice. This feels weird. Like, it feels like I'm being positive. And I don't know, that just feels a little bit weird. I know I'm waffling a lot, so thank you very much for being here and listening to me. I hope something that I say is insightful. But I don't hate it as much as I thought I would, and I use those words very carefully because I'm not about to give this a 10 out of 10. It's outdated. There's certain elements I don't like. There are certain elements that I do like. It's not exactly PvP. And sometimes I do try to look at PvP packs solely as texture packs, but we can't ignore the fact that it is a PvP pack. But I think with all of that in mind, I'm going to go with a 6 out of 10. Now, that is an average score for me. It's a 6 out of 10. And the reason why, the price is great. The price immediately lowers expectations. You don't expect it to be, we're not talking like massive fantastical stuff here. It is outdated, which limits it straight away. But I like the color choices. I like the creativity that they added. Even though it is a vanilla pack, I like that they've still tweaked certain things and made it their own. And I think that's awesome. I really do. I hope this somehow gets an update. Let me know what you guys think, though. Please, please do let me know what you guys think about this pack, because I've tried to use this as a learning curve, and I think a 6 out of 10 for an outdated, broken, but mostly just outdated pack is a fair score. And if we take a look at my texture pack review database over at Dasman Blogs, we'll see that a 6.0 rating puts the better PvP texture pack in the same company as packs like Better Default Texture Pack with my re-review. You've got Classic Shaders, which I believe is now called Classic Shadows. There's Cartoon Texture Pack, Film Noir Texture Pack, and there's even Sci-Fi Fantasy and Serenity Pastel Paradise, all sitting here at 6.0. Also, Simply Cubed is here as well. So a lot of packs that tried to do a lot of different things, and for me, kind of sit on that average playing field. If we also have a look at every texture pack that Sapphire Studios has done that I've reviewed, well, there's only 2 packs. This and Beast PvP. And this pack is at least 2 points better than Beast PvP in my opinion. So that's kind of where this pack sits in my texture pack review database. And there we have it. Thank you for checking out today's texture pack review. Please drop a comment with your review of the pack. I love to read what you guys are all thinking, and leave a like on the video if you enjoyed this. If you're new here, please do hit that subscribe button today as well and help the channel grow. I'll see you guys in the next video.